Jack Harlow just released his new album, Jackman, and I think this one is really good. I mean, Jack Harlow is not my favorite rapper. I don't think he's anyone's favorite rapper, to be honest. And I think he really kind of not reinvented himself, but he went back to his old roots with like songs like Sundown and River Road. And it sounds a lot like the earlier stuff rather than the stuff that no one likes in his last couple of albums, I feel like, or at least Come Home, The Kids Miss You, where there's just a bunch of cringe lines and he just doesn't have that same kind of Jack Harlow charisma, which he does on this album. Even though there are some really weird and interesting lyrical choices and just kind of, he's just like throwing stuff at the wall to like sound a little bit deeper on this album, I think it all works well because it at least sounds good. Like, I think he does get into some deeper stuff on, a lot of the songs on the album. Gang, Gang, Gang is a really interesting one because of how deep it gets into the actual subject matter. But I think overall throughout this album, there are some you get to see some deeper sides of him. Gang, Gang, Gang is, in my opinion, really good. And Blame on Me is probably the highlight of the album in terms of like lyrical content because it kind of shows this relationship between him, his brother, and his dad and how they all kind of feel bad for each other in a way, but at the same time, it's like Jack is really the one who, realized what he was doing wrong. Either way, though, this album is so much better than every other Jack Harlow release, at least recently. So I think this one is, one of my favorite Jack Harlow albums, if not my favorite for sure. Jack, he really goes in on this one. And let's just go track by track. Common Ground, I really like the soul sample or whatever they use for the background sound. And Jack's flow just sounds really good. He actually flows over the song well. And the stripped down beat works really well for the sound of the song. He actually spits some bars, especially with like the white and black racial stereotypes and the whole Common Ground thing. I don't know. I think it's a really interesting thing, especially in like Louisville, where I'm pretty sure it's a pretty divided town between white and black people. He does have some actual history with that, so it does work. And then They Don't Love It, I really like the beat on this song and Jack's sped up flow sounding really good, and his flow is just absolutely immaculate. I think that's the best thing about Jack is his flow and it like the kind of charisma he brings with the songs, and it really shows out on this one. I love his just flow and style throughout this song. His vocals also just really work well, and the soul sample sounds great. Jack comes in with just so much energy on this one, and I feel like it sounds amazing. Ambitious, like the production on this one, doesn't work as well as the first two songs in my opinion, but I feel like it really throws it back to some early 2000s style production, and Jack's vocals work really well. His flow is really solid, but doesn't have the same kind of flow that the first two songs have where he just sounds amazing. I do like how he shows himself from like different perspectives in his life and show parts of each of his life and like what he was actually thinking at those times. Is that I don't like how Jack says like, is that but I do like the production on this song, again, with another soul sample, and Jack's flow is pretty solid. It's just a switch up from Jack's normal music, and I don't like how the Is This I comes back in so many times, but I think Jack's vocals and the flow in the song just works great with the rhythm, the beat, and this is a pretty cool song. Gang, Gang, Gang. The production on the song is a lot slower, and I think it doesn't work as well, but the actual subject matter of the song is crazy and gets insanely deep right away. It just kind of talks about, how like your childhood friends, or at least these people like he knew in his childhood and were like great people back then, did some really bad things and were talking to little kids and doing inappropriate things with women that they didn't like. We're just going to say that, but the way he goes into it is such a weird U-turn from the last one. Like, it just comes in and you're like, okay, it's a little slowed down beat, and then he just immediately gets into how these people from his childhood are doing some crazy things. I don't know, it's such an interesting song, and the whole song is just so dark about it, where it's like these people went from having these amazing lives in high school, and now they're terrible people. I don't know, it's a really interesting one. I do like this song. It sounds pretty interesting, and it's just the way Jack goes into it is such a sharp, it's just like you're going off a cliff. I don't know, it's really interesting. Denver, I really like the soul sample on this song, and the production is really solid. I love Jack's flow on this song, and overall, Jack just sounds amazing. I think the lyrics on this song show so much growth from his last album. The soul sample, again, he uses on this one is absolutely beautiful, and the production on this song is amazing over the whole song. No enhancers. The mix on the song is a little weird, and I don't like the production as much as some of the other songs, but I still think it sounds good. Overall, I feel like it complements the beat and works well together. The song is just a little short, and with the sample and choruses, doesn't have that much substance, and I feel like it doesn't sound like all the other ones on the album where they're kind of like these beats that, kind of are like slow or fast and Jack just kind of flows over them. This is more of like a love song, I guess. I don't know. It's a really short one though, and it's interesting. It Can't Be, the production on the song sounds immaculate, giving this song just such large and lofty vibes, which I love and I feel like works perfectly on this one. Jack's flow is really solid. I feel like his vocals really suit the beat, but when they kind of continue to build up, the song just sounds really amazing. I think that Jack's lyrics on this song actually show a lot of growth from him, even though this one does, like, even though the lyrics in here are a little weird, where it's like there's nothing else. There's no other reason why Jack is popping besides his skin color, which is like a little bit of a weird thing to say, because like he was saying like all these things that besides that, and it's just like, I get it, but it's a little weird way to do it, because it's like you're a white rapper and the whole industry is not a bunch of white rappers. But I don't know, it works well and it sounds really good, even though the lyrical content is a little weird. I don't know. Blame on Me. Love this song, really like the sample, and the production works well, even though it's super stripped down. Jack's flow works well, and I really like the subject matter with him talking about missing his little brother and how they had like a little conflict when they were in middle school. And the cut of the sample and the vocals effects on it work really well, and I really like the use of the sample in the song. Rapping from each of the different perspectives on the song also really works and kind of shows how they're all connected. And I just think it's a really great song where he kind of connects all these things together, which is not a thing that I'd ever think of when I'm talking about Jack Harlow, but, it works really well. Then the last one we got is Questions. Really like the production on this song, and Jack's flow works well. I also like how vulnerable he gets on this song. He gets so vulnerable with his audience and talking about like how he actually does want to make like good music and not just like he wants to be seen by the critics as like an actual good rapper. And I think that's why he went back to this kind of style, because, maybe it's not going to be as popular critically, but it will be, or it's not going to be as popular commercially, but it is like something that he wants to make, and he wants to prove that he can like actually still rap. And I think he sounds great on this one, and I love his flow on this song. But overall, this album is great in my opinion. It's such a switch from Jack's normal stuff, and I think he just sounds so much better when he's rapping on these like slowed down beats, kind of like that River Road or Sundown, where these are these like slower beats where he just comes in with that flow and that honest to God Jack Harlow charisma, which is just like the thing that I feel like he kind of radiates. Like that's what he is. It's Jack Harlow, it's charisma. Those are two things. And on his recent albums, there are all these cringe lines, and there's still cringe lines on here, or like weird lines, I guess. But because of the flow, it works so much better, and the production on this album is good, and I feel like everything just works well. And it's like when you get Jack Harlow album, you're not really expecting this, but there's no singles to this one. It was just a surprise drop, and it works so well. Either way, though, Jack Harlow, Jackman, crazy name for a title, but I'm going to have to give this one an 8 out of 10. I really like this one. Maybe it'll go worse as I listen to it more, but this was really good on first listen.